What if I told you that right now you have the power to completely change your life? Sound impossible? Well, stop and think. Have you ever faced challenges that seem insurmountable? Do you feel that peace is far away, that love has been lost, or that your days lack meaning? I'm here to tell you that the answers to all of these questions have already been revealed, and they're easier and more powerful than you might think. In this video, you'll discover 10 teachings that have not only changed the history of mankind, but can change your life in a profound and true way. These teachings hold the secret to overcoming fear, healing relationships, finding joy in the midst of pain, and living with purpose even on the most difficult days. So I invite you to stay until the end. Every word will be a key to opening doors within you that you may not have even known existed. For the transformation you seek begins right here, right now. Have you ever felt that the world around you is lost in conflict, division, and misunderstanding? Perhaps you have wished for something that could bring peace and restore harmony, both within yourself and in your relationships. What many people haven't realized is that there is a power that can heal wounds, unite people, and transform even the most difficult scenarios. Love that asks nothing in return. Love that is true and unconditional. When I was on Earth, I realized that people often lived burdened by fear and resentment. They had been taught that love was something to be earned, deserved, or conditioned by the attitudes of others. But what I discovered in communion with the Father is that love is not limited by human barriers. It is a creative, unlimited force that flows freely when we connect with the source that sustains all life. To love without conditions is to choose to see beyond flaws, to see the divine essence that dwells in every being. This kind of love doesn't judge or make rules, but welcomes with tenderness. I remember when I was among those considered unworthy by society, the sick, the rejected, the marginalized. I didn't see them as the labels they were given, but as souls who needed to be reminded of their worth. It was this love that healed, that restored dignity and hope. Today, the world still needs that transforming love. How often on an ordinary day do you encounter someone who needs a word of comfort, a simple gesture of kindness? It could be a child waiting for attention, a friend facing challenges, or even a stranger struggling with unseen battles. Every small act of love has the power to shine a light where there is darkness. But unconditional love isn't just about others. It's also about how you see yourself. Have you been kind to yourself? Have you accepted your imperfections with the same love you offer to those around you? Love begins within you, and when it blossoms, it becomes impossible not to share it with others. When true love dwells in the heart, it paves the way for something even more powerful: faith. For those who love trust, and that trust moves mountains. Have you ever stopped to think what you could accomplish if you had complete faith in something greater than yourself? Faith is like a seed. When planted in fertile soil and tended with dedication, it grows and becomes a force capable of transforming realities. But often doubt looms like a shadow, preventing that seed from flourishing. When I was among you, I shared a simple but profoundly powerful truth. If your faith were the size of a mustard seed, you could tell a mountain to move, and it would move. This was not an empty metaphor, but a revelation that true faith is not in size or quantity, but in the intensity and purity with which it is lived. Faith is believing in what you can't yet see, but which already exists on a spiritual level. It is a force that connects you to the divine source and brings your dreams to life, even when circumstances say otherwise. However, faith is not just about waiting. It requires action, surrender, and the courage to move forward, even when the path is unclear. I remember when people came to me for healing. Many brought not only physical ailments but also heavy hearts filled with uncertainty. When they looked at me, it wasn't my physical presence that worked miracles, but their faith in the power that flows from God. They believed, and that faith healed them. That same faith is available to you today. Maybe you're facing something that seems insurmountable, a financial problem, a relationship difficulty, or a dream that seems more and more distant. But I want to remind you that the power to overcome these challenges is already within you. Faith is not about solving everything at once, but about taking the next step, no matter how small. When you trust in the Father, each step becomes an act of strength. And when you begin to walk by faith, something extraordinary happens. The weight of the past begins to disappear. This is where the importance of forgiveness comes in, both for others and for oneself. Finally, faith is nourished by a free heart, and that's what we're going to talk about now. How often have you carried the weight of something someone has done to you? Or maybe something you've done and still can't forgive yourself? Forgiveness is one of the most liberating forces there is, but also one of the most challenging. It's not only a gift to those you forgive, it's also a gift to yourself. When I talked about forgiving 70 times 7, I didn't mean that you should count the exact number of times. What I meant was that forgiveness, like love, should be unlimited. Not because wrong attitudes are irrelevant, but because holding on to hurts is like carrying stones in your heart. These stones weigh you down, hurt you, and prevent you from walking freely. When I look at humanity, I see that many of you cling to past hurts as if they were a shield. But in reality, these hurts become invisible prisons that keep peace at bay and block the flow of love that could transform your lives. Forgiveness doesn't mean agreeing with the mistake, but freeing yourself from its hold on you. I remember being confronted by those who had falsely accused me. They didn't understand what I was doing, and yet I chose to love them and ask the Father to forgive them. Forgiveness was not weakness, it was strength. It was the realization that holding on to resentment doesn't build, it only destroys. And it is that same strength that I invite you to find within yourself. Start today. Close your eyes and think about what is holding you back. Who or what do you need to forgive? Maybe it's a friend, a family member, or even yourself. When you release that pain, you will feel something extraordinary. A lightness, a peace that surpasses understanding. And that peace is the fertile ground where purpose begins to grow, where you find the meaning of serving and loving others. For when the heart is free, it is ready to make a difference in the world. Have you ever asked yourself why you are here? What is the meaning of your life? Many believe that purpose is something grandiose, reserved for a few people. But the truth is that it can be found in the small, daily choices you make, in how you choose to impact the world around you. And do you know where it begins? In the act of serving. When I was among you, I taught that if you want to be great, you must become a servant. This may seem contradictory, but it is in service that we discover the true meaning of our existence. When we are willing to help, whether by offering time, attention, or compassion, we connect with the flow of divine love, which always gives without expecting anything in return. I remember a day when my disciples were arguing about who would be the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. I called them together and said that the greatest would be the one who chose to serve others. Not because service diminishes us, but because it magnifies us. Service is the reflection of love in action, and it is in service that we find true joy. You may not think you have much to offer, but even a simple gesture can change someone's life. A smile for someone who is sad, a word of encouragement, or even just listening without judging. These actions, however small they may seem, have the power to create ripples of kindness that spread far beyond what we can see. And when you serve, something extraordinary happens. You find meaning in your own journey. The emptiness we so often feel is not a lack of something external, but a lack of connection to the divine essence that calls us to love. To serve is to answer that call, and in doing so we find the inner peace that leads us to something even deeper, a serenity that doesn't depend on the circumstances around us. Have you ever thought about what it really means to have peace? It's not the absence of problems or a world without challenges. True peace doesn't depend on what's around you, but is born within you, like a quiet river that flows even in the midst of storms. When I was among you, I often walked through places of conflict, where people were full of fear and uncertainty. But what I brought was not a solution to all external problems, but a presence that calmed hearts and restored hope. This inner peace is what transforms any environment. When it is within you, it begins to reflect in the world around you. But how do you find that peace? First, you must trust. Often we are so busy controlling everything, solving every detail of life, that we forget to simply rest in the Father. When you surrender your worries and realize that you are not alone, a serenity begins to emerge. It doesn't mean that the difficulties disappear, but that they lose their power to steal your serenity. This peace is also strengthened by silence and gratitude. Take a moment to step away from the noise and just be present. Notice the blessings that already exist in your life, even if they seem small. When you do this, your mind quiets down, and peace grows like a soft light within you. And you know what's most beautiful? That peace is not just for you. When it dwells in your heart, it overflows to others. Your words become kinder, your actions more compassionate, and your presence is like a relief to those around you. This inner peace is contagious. It inspires, heals, and unites. But for this peace to last, you need something essential: humility. That's what we're going to talk about now. Without humility, the ego takes over and peace begins to dissipate. How many times has pride prevented you from reconciling with someone, admitting a mistake, or even asking for help? The ego is a subtle trap that often makes us believe we need to be bigger, better, or stronger than we really are. But true strength isn't in appearing invincible, but in recognizing that we are part of something much greater. When I was among you, I reminded you that whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and whoever humbles himself will be exalted. But the humility I spoke of is not an imposed humiliation or a loss of value. On the contrary, it is the recognition that our value comes from the Father, not from our accomplishments or appearances. It means living simply, with an open heart and a willingness to learn. Being humble doesn't mean being inferior, but being at peace with who you are, without having to prove anything to anyone. It's like fertile soil that allows seeds to grow. When you give up the desire to be seen or recognized, you make room for the divine light to shine through you, naturally and effortlessly. I remember Peter, one of my disciples, who often let his ego speak louder. But the moment he realized his fragility by denying me 3 times, he began to grow spiritually. Not because he fell, but because he had the courage to get up, ask for forgiveness, and move on. It was in humility that he found true strength. Where have you allowed your ego to take over? Perhaps in arguments, in the difficulty of apologizing, or even in not accepting help when you need it. When you let go of that weight, you'll find that life becomes easier. Humility connects us to others, to purpose, and most importantly, to the Father. And it is this connection that gives us the confidence to go on, to let go of the burdens we carry unnecessarily. Do you ever feel like you're carrying more weight than you can handle? Worries about the future, daily responsibilities, fears that seem to have no end? The human heart often tries to hold it all together, as if the world depends on its efforts alone. But I tell you, you don't have to go this way. When he said, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest," he meant to show that there is nothing so great that you can't turn it over to the Father. Trusting in him is not a question of giving up, but of recognizing that there is a greater power guiding every detail of your life. When you surrender, you don't lose control. On the contrary, you find true balance. I remember when the disciples faced a storm at sea while I was asleep in the boat. Terrified, they woke me and asked me if I didn't mind that they were going to die. I calmed the wind and the waves, but I also asked, "Why are you so afraid? Don't you have faith anymore?" It wasn't the storm that afflicted them, but their lack of faith. Like in that boat, the Father is always present, even when he seems to be silent. This trust is not just about believing that things will work out. It's about resting even when the result is not yet there. It's knowing that by letting go of your fears and doubts, you are making room for the Father to act in your life in ways you could never have imagined. It's not weakness to depend on him. It's the greatest demonstration of strength and wisdom. Begin now. Think of something that is weighing on your heart. Close your eyes and imagine handing it over to the Father, secure in the knowledge that He cares for you and knows what's best. True trust does not require proof. It is sustained by the peace that comes from knowing that you are not alone. And it is in this trust that we find a great treasure, the freedom to live with your heart focused on what really matters. For when you seek that which comes from above, everything else falls into place. What are you looking for in your life? Security? Happiness? Success? Many people spend their days chasing these things, believing that they are outside of themselves, in material conquests or in people. But I want to tell you a secret. Everything you really need is already available to you, and it starts with a simple decision: to seek the kingdom of heaven within yourself. When I said, "Seek first the kingdom of heaven and its righteousness, and all these things will be added to you," I wanted to show that true prosperity doesn't come from unorganized efforts, but from aligning your life with eternal values. The kingdom of heaven is not a distant place, but a state of consciousness in which you live in harmony with the love, truth, and peace that come from the Father. This quest doesn't require you to give up your everyday life. On the contrary, it's about bringing the divine into every decision, every relationship, every moment. When you put the eternal at the center of your priorities, the rest begins to flow in surprising ways. Needs are met, doors open, and you realize that you don't have to fight to get what is already rightfully yours. I remember when I warned that it is pointless to worry about tomorrow because each day brings its own challenges. Yet I see how many live tormented by the future, forgetting that the Father also cares for the lilies of the field and the birds of the sky. If He doesn't let the flowers lack beauty or the birds lack food, why do you think you will be forgotten? Seek first the kingdom of heaven in your attitudes. Choose love, forgiveness, and trust. Choose truth over appearance, peace over conflict. As you do, you'll find that blessings begin to manifest in ways beyond what you could have planned. And as you live this way, something incredible happens. Your heart is filled with joy. Not a fleeting joy, but a joy that comes from giving, sharing, and feeling part of something much bigger. Have you ever experienced the joy of giving without expecting anything in return? Maybe it was a small gesture, a smile, a hug, or a word of encouragement. These moments have something in common. They lighten the heart and fill the soul. Because giving is the purest expression of abundance. When I was among you, I saw how many worried about accumulating, fearing that there would be a shortage in the future. But I showed them that true wealth is not in what you keep, but in what you share. Do you remember the boy who offered the 5 loaves and 2 fishes? He could have kept what he had, thinking it wouldn't be enough for everyone. But when he gave away what little he had, that simple gesture was miraculously multiplied and fed a crowd. So it is in your life. Abundance is not about having more, but about trusting that what you have is enough to share. When you give, whether materially, emotionally, or spiritually, you activate a flow of love that returns to you in unexpected ways. Giving opens doors, creates connections, and transforms lives, including your own. Giving also heals. It dissolves selfishness, relieves loneliness, and brings meaning. People often believe they need large resources to make a difference, but this is not true. A small act of kindness done with sincere love can impact someone in ways you can't even imagine. And the most beautiful thing is that the more you give, the more you realize that abundance never runs out, because it flows from the Father who is infinite. When you become a giver, life takes on a new meaning. You begin to see beyond your own needs and realize that you are participating in something greater, something that connects us all. And it is in this sharing that your inner light shines brighter, inspiring others to do the same. And that light, when lit in your heart, transforms you into a source of inspiration for those around you. That's how you become a true light in the world. Have you ever seen yourself as a light capable of illuminating someone else's path? You may not realize it, but your choices, attitudes, and words have the power to influence and transform the lives around you. Being a light in the world doesn't mean being perfect or having all the answers. It means letting love and truth guide your actions. When I said, "You are the light of the world," I wanted to remind you that each of you has something unique and precious to offer. Your light is not in what you possess, but in who you are and how you choose to live. It is through your kindness, compassion, and authenticity that you shine and show others that there is a path to peace and hope. This light doesn't have to be something big. It manifests itself in small gestures, forgiving when it's hard, offering a shoulder to lean on, being patient in the midst of chaos. These simple attitudes have a profound effect, rekindling hope in hearts that may have been extinguished. Often those who need your light the most are the ones you least expect. I remember comparing this light to a lamp on a pedestal. No one lights a lamp to hide it. It is placed in a high place to illuminate everything around it. That's how your life should be. By living with integrity, love, and faith, you become an example to others without saying a word. And the most beautiful thing about being a light is that it never goes out when you share it. On the contrary, the more you light the way for others, the stronger your own light becomes. You don't have to do great things to shine. You just have to be faithful to what is in your heart, guided by the Father. So I invite you to think, how can you make your light shine even brighter? Every choice, every act of kindness, and every moment lived with purpose is a spark that illuminates this world. May your path always be illuminated, and may the peace and love that dwell within you spread to all. For in the end, that's what makes life a reflection of the kingdom of heaven. You are not here by chance. Every step you take, every choice you make, echoes far beyond what you can imagine. The love, faith, forgiveness, humility, and peace you cultivate within yourself are seeds of light that transform the world around you. You are called to live with purpose, to trust the Father completely, and to allow your life to become a beacon of hope for others. Believe me, within you is the power to not only transform your own journey, but to touch lives, inspire hearts, and spread goodness. Don't be silenced by fear or doubt. Stand up, shine, love. The world needs your light, and the Father is with you every step of the way. May your heart be filled with courage, your mind with clarity, and your soul with peace. You are never alone, for divine power is always with you. May you walk with confidence, discovering each day the transforming power that already dwells within you. Go forth and be the light that shines. May your path be blessed, and may divine peace dwell within you always. Amen.